right, welcome to week 3 of our Find Community Discipleship Pathway small groups. So exciting to watch what God's doing. We're already hearing stories of people's lives being changed and impacted, and I really hope that it's starting to connect with you this idea of what it means to truly find community. Today, we're going to be talking about this idea of kingdom culture in the church and specifically being in community in small groups and what that looks like. And our big idea today is that small groups are where the church gets personal. This is where it gets intimate as faith turns into friendship, truth turns into transformation, and people find family in the house of God. See, when you really get into small groups, it's where that whole idea from lesson 1 of those redwood trees, the roots getting intertwined and intertangled, small group makes that happen. Because at church, you show up, hopefully you show 15 minutes early, because that's what we ask everyone to do, is be 15 minutes early to church. And if you do that, take our 15-minute challenge, then you're going to meet a couple of people, you're going to find your seat, and you're going to be ready to worship on song 1. It's going to be awesome. But if you do that, that's a limited connection. If you serve on the dream team, you'll go to a whole nother dimension of connecting with people. And when you get involved in small groups, you go to a whole nother realm of relational depth and being connected with friendship. Transformation comes to your life, to your kids, to your family. And really the church goes from being a building you go to a family you're spending time with together. And so for us, this is just such a big idea. And as we're on this journey of saying, okay, what does it mean to find community at Dreamers Church? We're making it real clear that it means you're planted in the local church. So I ask you today, are you truly planted? Have you set your roots down? Or are you still filling things out, keeping everyone at a distance, coming to church occasionally, small group occasionally, or have you taken that step? And if you have, I guarantee you're starting to grow in Christlike character. Because if you come to church every week, your character is going to be developed. You're going to grow. You come to small group consistently, that character is going to grow. And the result of that is that you're going to create kingdom culture everywhere you go. And that's our heart and that's our desire. So in our introduction here, you can take a look at your notes. We're on page 23. I wrote this question: have you ever joined a gym in January? Come on, everyone's fired up, the music's loud, and the treadmills are full. But give it a few weeks and this crowd sometimes thins out, right? We've seen this happen. Most people stop showing up, not because the gym changed, but because consistency is hard when you go alone. Now think about this. The people that do stick with it, they often have a couple of key things. They have a partner or a small group that they're doing it with. They have somebody that's spotting them and helping them out. They have someone encouraging them or challenging them to take a next step. When you get these rhythms, it changes everything. You know, I tried to do a little bit of working out this last year at the beginning of the year, and it didn't go quite as well as I want. And this year, I decided I had my son make me a little workout chart and kind of hold me accountable. And my daughter and I signed up for a triathlon. So now we have a goal out here. We're doing this together. I'm doing this with my son. And all of a sudden, now I've been staying very consistent in my eating habits and my workout habits. And you know, it's interesting because likened unto a gym, small groups are the gym of the soul. It's really the place where when we're in small groups, they're all about helping each part of the body function, grow, and build one another up in love. When we get into small groups, it causes us to grow, it causes other people to grow, and this whole body comes together, and we're no longer isolated and disconnected from each other. And I'd love for you, if you look at the top of page 24, there's this verse from Ephesians 4:16. It says, From him, the whole body joined together, joined and held together by every supporting ligament, grows and builds itself up in love as each part does its work. What I love about small groups is it's all about each of us doing our part, building one another up. So I want to ask you this question. Does your time investment show that small groups are a priority? Can we just have a real talk moment? Is small group something that's last on your list when it's a convenience? Or is it something you move to the front of the list? Because the Bible makes it very clear that this needs to be a high priority, something that we value, something that inconveniences us, and something that costs us. But if we would do this, we would grow. It's the exercise, it's the gym of our spiritual faith where we can go deeper and get more connected. But here's the problem, if we're really honest, is that we live in a culture of isolation. We live in a culture where we focus on us and we focus on what we want to do. I wrote it this way: we live in a generation more connected digitally and more disconnected relationally than ever before. People have hundreds of followers online, but few true friends in real life. We live in a culture where people are dealing with anxieties and fears and pains, and when you ask them, well, why don't you get connected? They're like, well, I can't do that, I won't do that. And the one thing they need is the thing they're avoiding. Pew Research, which is a research that does a lot on churches and stuff, says that 4 out of 10 adults say they struggle to find people who genuinely understand them. You know what's interesting? No one's going to understand you because you come to small group once or even twice. But now if you've come the last 3 times, some people are starting to get to know you. And over the course of a semester, you'll actually get a deeper relationship. And this will not be true of you if you plug into community, if you get connected. But Paul wrote to Timothy, and this is nothing new. He told it to Timothy 2,000 years ago. He says, hey, look, people are going to be lovers of themselves without love, lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of God. When we make ourselves the center of everything, then the only reason we do it is because it's comfortable and convenient for us. But if we put God at the center, then we do stuff because he says to. And then we anticipate, there's our word kingdom anticipation from last year. We anticipate that God's going to work good things inside of us as we do that. And so we don't want to be these disconnected people. Instead, we want to be people that really come together. When a church is growing, this is what we do understand, which our church is growing. These last couple of years, we've gone from being less than 100 people to now 2 to 3 services, depending on what's going on, hundreds of people. And what happens when a church grows is they can become program-oriented instead of people-oriented. We said that's not what we're going to do. We're going to focus on small groups, and the church is about people. They can focus on the pulpit instead of pastoring. We said that's not what we're going to do. The only way for us to pastor you is to have you in a small group. If you're in a small group and something happens in your life, man, your small group's there. And pastoring is not a title of someone in the church. It's a function of people in the church. Pastoring is about caring for people. It's about loving for them. It's about being present. And that's what our small group leaders do. And what happens if you don't guard this, you become more like an orphanage than a family. And we want to be a family, and we want to be a family of families. Our small group are those deep, intimate families, and we come together with the larger church. And as the church grows larger, it must grow smaller through relationship. And so that's something we're really committed to as a church. Small groups are the front door to belonging. If you can underline that, it's at the bottom of page 24. A person can attend a service for several months and still feel unknown, but one dinner or prayer time in a small group can change all of that. So the desire of Jesus was that people would be in community. I want to talk about this. At the top of page 25, I want to ask you this question. What helps you feel the most connected in church? Is it listening to a sermon, or is it sharing life with others? I think the majority of people would say it's sharing life with others. That's where we really feel connected. We get in that deeper sense. And it's interesting because Jesus revealed himself as the good shepherd. He revealed himself as one that was going to shepherd his people. In John 10:14, he said, I am the good shepherd. I know my sheep, and my sheep know me. Jesus was all about shepherding. And the idea of the small group is that it makes the heart of the good shepherd tangible. See, we feel like, God, do you see me? But when we go through something and someone sends me a text and someone else, I'm out of work for a little bit and someone helps provide a meal, someone helps get one of my kids to their sports team, all of a sudden I felt seen by God, because with small groups makes the heart of the good shepherd tangible in my life. And in a growing church, you may not personally know everyone, but you can be known. And that's what we want you to understand. And we want newer people to the church to not feel like they've got to spend 5 years before they know everybody. We just want them to step into small group, because we know this, that being known is essential to spiritual health and emotional stability. I'd love for you to underline those two phrases, that these are core components to spiritual health and emotional stability. You'll see there on the bottom of page 25, I wrote this: the truth is, anonymity is easy in a church if we just show up late Sunday and leave early, but transformation happens in proximity. Again, I want to challenge you to be 15 minutes early to church, but can I encourage you to also do your best to be early or on time for a small group also? Like, let's make the most of our times when we come together, because this is what is a fact. You can't heal when you're in hiding. You can't grow in isolation. And God wired your soul to be strengthened through connection. So when we make those decisions to say, okay, God, I'm going to press in and get into community, all of a sudden, the heart of the Good Shepherd becomes a tangible thing we experience. So I want to give you a couple of thoughts about what Jesus wants for his church. First is Jesus wants his church to care for every need of the flock. When we say we want to find community, it means we want to be in a place where when there's a need in my life, there's people that see it. In your small group, if you have a need in your life, we want you to share that with your small group leader. If you need help with your kids, if something's going on in your marriage, talk to your small group leader. Say, hey, is there a book we could be reading that would help our marriage? Is there some counseling we could get for one of our teenagers? Hey, is there someone I could talk to about something going on with my parents? You know, we want to be there to really care for the flock. It should be a place where we raise up strong marriages and families. You know, we do different events, usually in February, that's focused on marriage and family to help build it there. But all year long, we're doing stuff in our small groups that it's an opportunity for your marriage to grow stronger. We want to see each person mature. The reason we have you on this 2-year discipleship pathway is we want you to come to know God more and to mature in your faith. We want to foster stronger interpersonal relationships. We want to see those relationships grow deeper and deeper. This passage here, if you look on page 27, from Ephesians 4:16. I read it earlier, but I want to read it one more time. It says, from him the whole body, joined and held together by every supporting ligament, grows and builds itself up in love as each part does its work. When we do this together, something supernatural happens, and it equips the believer to find and fulfill their ministry. Do you realize God has ministry things that he wants you to accomplish? Sometimes it's just in your workplace, loving on people there. Sometimes it's in your neighborhood. Sometimes it's in your family. But God wants to use you. And I want to ask you this question. You got the reflection box there on page 27. Do you see yourself as someone who needs care? Do you see yourself as someone who needs care yourself, or do you receive the love of Jesus through being embedded in a small group community? Meaning that do you feel like, man, there's so many missing pieces, or do you feel like the missing pieces are being met because you're inside of community? You know, here at Dreamers Church, we want to see people with brokenness healed and restored and made beautiful beyond recognition. That was the prophetic word that God gave to us as we planted Dreamers Church over 7 years ago. God spoke that to Laura and I, said if we do this, it would happen. And one of the things I want you to catch is that's part of our heart. And that only happens when people get into small group. Sundays, these moments of encounters and breakthroughs, but those encounters and those breakthroughs need a journey of healing and restoration. They need a journey of maturing and developing that takes place inside of our small groups. And this is what we know, is that Jesus specializes in broken things. He doesn't discard them. He redeems them. Jesus is all about, he said, I came to seek and save the lost. I came to do something that would impact the world around me. Jesus was adamant about seeing lives changed and seeing people healed and set free from whatever bondages were holding them back. And so as we talk about this today and we talk about brokenness, one of the things I want us to catch is that our small groups actually become a place for new people to find belonging. And they can do this before they believe and love before they are changed. Because if people are going to be healed from brokenness, then they need to be able to come and find a place to belong so they can go on that journey. They need to find a place to feel loved even before their whole life has changed and before anything has turned around in their life. It's interesting, Jesus gave us this kind of mandate and spoke to us. I like this verse in Galatians 6:2. It says, carry each other's burdens, and in this way you will fulfill the law of Christ. See, the bottom of page 28, we wrote this phrase, people don't need perfect leaders, they need authentic ones. Some of you are wondering, should I ever lead a small group? Should I be getting involved in Dream Team? My life isn't perfect. Can I tell you, people don't need perfect people. They need authentic ones. And if you're on an authentic journey and you're saying, God, would you help me one step at a time become what I'm called to be, then you're in a perfect place to get more involved in Dream Team, more involved in small groups, more involved in impacting other people's lives. I want to take one last minute before we wrap up our lesson today, and I want to connect this whole thought with small groups and kingdom culture, because we talk about that this is, our small groups is a place where finding community means that we're getting planted in authentic community, we're developing that Christ-like character, and we're also being carriers of kingdom culture. So how does that happen? Well, when our small groups gather, we're building a place where that kingdom culture has taken place. And how we do that, you can see this on page 29 here, is encouragement replaces criticism, accountability replaces isolation, humility replaces pride, and generosity replaces self-preservation. When we stop and say, okay, God, I'm going to become an encourager, rather than sitting back and criticizing, I'm going to step into a small group and just encourage people. I'm going to step out of isolation, and I'm going to have friends and accountability around me. It changes everything. Humility gets replaced for pride, and all of a sudden a generosity spirit arises in us. And rather than self-preservation and protecting me, I'm saying, how can I help out my group here in a bigger and greater way? If our church is like a body, remember we said we're at the gym, we're like this body that's come together, many parts, then Sunday services are like the heart, but small groups are like the veins and arteries. They would bring life to every area and make sure that circulation happens throughout our entire church. So here's what I want you to do today. I want you to take some small group time. We're going to put up the QR code for you to, if you have not registered for the Encounter Day, please do it today. I would love to have everyone that's going to be able to make it sign up today and get that locked down. And it'll just take you a moment, scan the QR code, click on the link, let us know how many people are coming. And small group leaders, can you please help me get everyone signed up today? That would be awesome. And then at the bottom of page 31, I want you to go through the reflection questions and take a moment to discuss some of your responses. And then ask the question, am I planted in community? How can I help people find connection in community? What steps can I grow in discipleship? And how can our group better reflect kingdom culture when we come together? Why don't you talk through those, get signed up. Can't wait to hear the stories of what God's doing in and through your small group. And let's keep reaching our city, loving broken people, and believing for God to make them beautiful beyond recognition. Can't wait to see you this Sunday. Have a wonderful day.